Hansel and Gretel. Once upon a time, a poor woodcutter lived with his wife and 2 children, Hansel and Gretel, in a small cottage in the forest. They were very poor, but they were happy. Sadly, the woodcutter's wife became ill and died a short time later. The woodcutter and his children were very unhappy, and they grieved for a long time. Then one day, the woodcutter was selling wood at the market when he met a beautiful woman who offered to help him with his children. She said that she loved children very much and would be glad to marry him and take care of Hansel and Gretel. The woodcutter was very pleased, and he thought this was a wonderful idea. So they got married, and she came to the house to live with the family. But she wasn't as kind as the woodcutter and his children had hoped. She mistreated the children and made them work in the house all day. The stepmother wasn't really a beautiful woman. She was a wicked witch. She had an evil plan and needed the children in order to cast a magic spell.
Soon I will throw these awful children into my cauldron, she cackled to herself.
The witch planned to turn Hansel and Gretel into a youth potion so that she might drink it and live forever.
Then I can get rid of my silly husband, she thought.
She was very pleased with her plan. She needed to persuade her husband to abandon his children in the forest.
Husband, she said to him, we cannot go on living in this way. There is not enough food for all of us. Let us leave the children in the forest. They will find their way to a new and better life. With them gone, there will be enough money for the 2 of us.
But her husband would not hear of it. I will never abandon my children, he told her.
Then I will leave you,
threatened his wife, furious that he might ruin her plans.
This is a miserable life without enough food or money to go round.
The woodcutter would never leave his children. He was shocked by her cruel demand, but he was terrified that his wife would leave him, and by now he loved her dearly. Rescue his children. The next day, the woodcutter told Hansel and Gretel about their stepmother's plan. They begged their father not to leave them alone in the forest. Don't worry, my dear children, I'll come back for you, the woodcutter reassured them. The witch heard them whispering and realized that they had a plan, but she had an evil plan of her own. The woodcutter and his wife took the 2 children into the deepest part of the forest. Stay here. We will come to fetch you soon, said the father. The children weren't worried because they knew that their father would return to get them. But when the woodcutter and his evil wife returned home, she mixed a sleeping potion into his stew. As soon as he was unconscious, she tied him to the bed and left him there. She left the cottage and went to fulfill her plan. On her way to the forest, she was transformed from the beautiful woman she claimed to be to the ugly witch she really was. She ran through the forest, which she knew very well. Night came, and the woodcutter still hadn't returned. Hansel and Gretel were anxious, and they didn't know what to do.
Let's find our way home. Maybe Father is in trouble, said Gretel.
Do you think we can make it to the house on our own, Gretel? Hansel shivered with cold.
We have to try, Hansel. It's better than waiting in the forest,
replied Gretel. The 2 children travelled deeper and deeper into the forest and couldn't find anyone to help them. Suddenly, they saw a house made of chocolates, cakes and biscuits.
That's amazing, Gretel. Let us eat,
cried Hansel. At once the hungry children began to eat pieces of the delicious sweet house.
Who's nibbling at my house?
A voice cried suddenly. It was the witch's voice. She had managed to arrive before the children, and with her magic she had made this sweet, tempting house. Scared, the children stopped eating. Slowly the witch emerged from the door and drew a kind smile on her face.
Come inside, my children,
the witch said kindly. Although the children didn't recognize her, Gretel felt uncomfortable. Gretel didn't like the old woman and stayed as far away from her as possible. The moment they were inside the house, the witch pushed Hansel inside one of 5 cages placed neatly on the floor. Inside the cages were 3 other children who were the same age as Hansel and Gretel. The witch locked Hansel's cage and laughed excitedly.
Finally, I have enough children to make my youth potion. It's time to throw you all into my cauldron. Soon, eternal youth will be mine.
The witch didn't see Gretel sneak behind her. Gretel was brave and witty. She tiptoed behind the witch and then pushed her into the scorching oven. The cruel witch was destroyed, and all her magic too. Gretel unlocked Hansel's cage and the other cages too. Together, Hansel, Gretel and the other children escaped from the house, which was collapsing now that the witch's magic was gone. In the morning, Hansel and Gretel found their way through the forest after they had said goodbye to the other children. Hansel and Gretel arrived home and found their father tied to the bed, but gladly still alive. They untied him and told him about what had happened in the forest. "I'm so sorry, my lovely children. It all happened because of me. I'll always take care of you," promised the father. The woodcutter and his children then lived happily ever after.